right, welcome to kind of a special edition of the Non Sequitur Show. No bells and whistles this particular episode. I'm just doing straight StreamYards. Hopefully, outside there can hear me. I do have a special guest though that I was completely unexpected, but I'm telling you, I'm very, very happy. I have the one and only Nadia Vet Chambers. If you remember her, she was literally the first hangout I ever did on YouTube was with Nadia. And so we go way, way back. And oh my God, I think honestly, Nadia is one of the people that got me interested in philosophy. Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, honestly. So I'm thrilled for that. So what I want to do is basically I want to have a fun hangout. A lot's been going on. I wasn't in a good place this morning. My daughter messaged me, and I gotta tell you, just it changed my whole perspective on things just from hearing from her. And so I'm a little bit better off right now. But I am doing PayPal stuff because I'm telling you, I could use a little extra income right now. Not going to say what's going on, but every little bit helps, and I appreciate it. I want to show your support for the channel and help me for my birthday. And Nadia, welcome.
Yep, it's good to see you again. And
can everybody outside hear me? Hopefully they can.
I'm not sure who in the audience I know, but hello to everyone.
Well, people that don't remember you, tell them how you got started in the whole online YouTube debate stuff, because when you had a big, well, not big channel, but you had a big presence online that people would go to your room and have these conversations that later became like the Great Debate Community and other places.
Yeah. So I guess back in 2013, the lease on my apartment in New York ran out. And I guess coincidentally managed to schedule 3 job interviews in the Bay Area to approximately coincide with that or be shortly after it. So I'm on a, I guess, relatively obvious conclusion that I wasn't going to be able to really return there after the lease expired. I took a one-way ticket to the Bay Area and carried what I could in suitcases and such, and went out to those job interviews. And sure enough, they all 3 struck out. So when the smoke cleared, I wasn't really sure what to do, but I was on Google Plus and was, I guess, trying to, console myself by, connecting with people, having conversations, and just complaining to everyone.
This was about 2011, give or take?
That was 2013.
2013, yeah. Okay. Because that's why I wasn't sure, because I started my YouTube in 2013. But I didn't really go live with anybody until maybe 2014, or at least till the end of 2013. But I've had my YouTube channel for quite some time. I was really kind of just leaving a lot of comments on people's videos, and I was getting a lot of positive feedback. Like some of my comments would always get the number one, or I had one Thunderfoot video that I had like the number one comment for the longest time with 25,000 likes or something.
Nice.
Yeah. It had to do with Eric Hovind. Remember Eric Hovind?
Oh, of course, yes.
Yeah. And so I had said something like, yeah, when it comes to Eric Hovind, even atheist thinks he needs Jesus. Right. So that was pretty popular. So your channel was like, oh, by the way, somebody asked Legion of Comics Axe. I sound like G-Man. Ask, because he always says ask. Axe. Is G-Man still around? I believe so. I mean, I know he still has a channel.
I am actually subscribed to him still, and I still see things pop up like in the past week or two.
But why is it? I messaged him and he hasn't gotten back to me on Skype for quite some time, several weeks. Usually he gets back to me. Mikey says, loud and clear, Steve. I'll give you some thanks on Friday. I appreciate that. I spent too much on wife today and got help for it, even though it was with her. Of course, yeah, you got to smell it. You got to spend it on the Valentine's Day. Sorry, I had a lot of coffee today to get me through today. Wasn't on a good morning. I was out and about, had a miserable breakfast at Denny's. It was, birthday Denny's, and it was bad. I got to, the staff there was amazing. She was a friend of mine. That I've known for a while, but the food was not up to par, I don't think. Oh well. Got my contacts at least. I can you see? I ordered. Can you see these? Or are they washed out?
Yeah, too washed out to see much, but I have an idea.
Yeah. So I ordered my contacts when I got my glasses, and that was sometime 8-9 months ago. And they were supposed to call me and let me know that they got my contacts in, but they never did. And so the receptionist there later became kind of like somebody I knew, so I'd see her at work so often, and I talked to her, and I give them, I said, "Hey, can you call me and let me know that when they're in, or if you still have them?" So when I was out and about, I stopped by and I went there, and they still had them, so that was good because these things are expensive. That was a cost I was not expecting. You know, people don't realize contacts are not cheap. Yeah, right. Anyways, Kano is over here helping me spend time on my 51st birthday, Nadia. No, 54th. What I said. I want to be a lot younger.
Yeah,
she's 51. She's 51. See, I got Kano on the brain.
She's 51 and I'm 48. You're 54, so it's like an even spread. Yeah.
Yeah, right. we're getting up there. Did you want to come over and say hi? Oh, come on, you shy little cherub.
Yeah, I am.
I call him the cherub because she got the cherub cheeks. She's made us some apple pie tonight.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, baked apple pie.
You see?
So anyways, you were doing this these hangouts, and I was like, man, this is awesome. I didn't understand half of what you guys were talking about. I had no idea what any of this was in philosophy. I mean, I had a little bit of experience on because, science and things of that nature, but nothing what you all would do talking about in these discussions. They were way over my head. But then I was like, you know what? I want to learn this stuff. And I think that over the last 10, 11 years now, because it was in 2013, I think, when I first, you're the very first live stream I was ever in. And I was on a tablet too, and I remember, and I was like, this seems like fun. I'll just jump in and make an idiot of myself. But it was with I think there was a Matt Slick was in there, maybe.
Oh wow, that would have been surprising if he showed up in my place.
He used to come around. Yeah, Matt Slick used to come
around, but he avoided me for whatever reason.
Yeah, I don't remember. Maybe I know he was definitely in one of them or a couple of them, but. So I jumped in, and I think over like the last 10 years, I think I've done okay learning a little bit about philosophy. I mean, I'm not your level because you're like a sponge.
I kind of read up and did like whatever kind of sophomore thing, but I was just getting it straight out of the books and not really having necessarily all that great understanding or whatever.
Do you think you do now?
No, I have not put any more effort into it since. So if anything, I've deteriorated from when I was.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. I haven't talked to you in so long, but I mean, you definitely were having these philosophical discussions about Christianity versus atheism, evolution. And I asked you before we went on air, I said, are you still an atheist? And your response was, what was your response when I asked you if you're still, yeah, of course. I'm like nonchalant, of course. Yeah. Why would it be anything different? Right.
Yeah, the struggle against religion is a struggle for socialism. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you were a socialist the entire time. Yeah. And I never got into the politics. I don't understand socialism versus Marxism versus value, labor value and all that. It's just nothing I really ever studied or even really looked into.
Yeah. It's kind of like that's kind of like their weird corner of the world, not really where the rest of the universe really.
Yeah, it's convoluted. Yeah. I just don't have the wherewithal to dive into that. And I took economics. I took macroeconomics and microeconomics, and I got to tell you, it was the hardest course I ever took. Economics was more difficult to me than my calculus courses and the stuff I took for physics. For some reason, economics, and it was. If I don't know if you remember, like Keynesian curves and the differential equations you had to use for supply and demand. At that time, I was lost. I was completely lost. So
I don't remember what those were, but I don't think like a differential equation would have been like a big deal for me.
Well, yeah, your maths. I mean, you for people to can I talk about your programming stuff?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah. So for people who don't remember, Nadia literally worked on Linux kernels. She was a Linux programmer. And I don't remember specificities, but I know that you did a lot of work with Linux back in the day.
Well, I mean, It's been a long time. I don't think I've put anything substantial into the kernel since uh, probably like I guess the later end of things would have been like 06, 07.
But you originally did.
Yeah, yeah. Like the tail end of where I was still working. I didn't really get a whole lot in the substantial, but anyway. But yeah, initially I was getting more a lot more in, and I guess the last insubstantial thing I got was like in 2012, but still long tail, but very skinny
That's
long tail.
still more than I ever did. I don't. I got to tell you that. I mean, I stopped programming back in the day. When I was programming, it was Visual Basic, it was GW Basic, it was DOS, and maybe a little assembler, but it was way back in the 80s and 90s. So just to let people know, anybody who sends me a PayPal, I'm not going to be able to read anything out. I'm just not going to even mention anything. I'm going to tell you in private. I appreciate anybody who's sending me PayPal. And I also got a message from my daughter that says, "I miss you lots."
Yeah,
so that means a lot to me today. She knows I've been dealing with stuff, and I got to tell you, man, family is just family's love. I got my family, I got my daughter, and I got Kano, and if it wasn't for them, I don't think I'd be on this planet. I really don't. And I'm not trying to make it out to be more than it is, but it's just I would have no will to continue. I don't think. It's been rough the last 6 months or so. Yeah.
I'm sorry you're having a tough time there. I for some reason I've not really noticed, but I kind of been
Yeah, no, you were away. I had some stuff. I stepped away for several months from the internet. I couldn't stream. A lot of personal, medical, a lot of other things going on. And so I just didn't have a desire. Now the only reason I'm even streaming is merely because, one, I still want to connect to people. The same reason why you did Hangouts in the first place. It's that social interaction that keeps you going.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I whatever little I make out of it is still better than nothing. So who do we got out there? We got what is GDSY? Good. GTSY means what does it mean?
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Yeah, good to see you. I knew that too. I knew that. I'm not even joking, Nadia. I literally was scared today this morning. I could not remember my social security number. Something I knew all my entire life. The numbers that I've just never forgotten, and I couldn't remember. That's how bad some of my faculties have been going. I've been forgetting stuff. What's that?
This long COVID or?
Yeah, I think so. I can't prove that I had COVID, but so I was sick for quite some time, and I couldn't smell right, couldn't taste right. I did take a test and it was negative, but Kano told me to take another and I never did. She's got it 3 times. There's
a different test you can get, I think, for like antibodies, but even that's still not very reliable because the virus changes so much that I don't think they can really narrow down.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I was vaccinated. I had a booster, and I couldn't imagine if I hadn't. But my life has not been the same. My life has not been the same since I got sick. I just don't feel the same. I don't think the same. I even when I've been talking to people, I lose my train of thought. I don't know words. And the one thing that's always scared me is losing my cognitive abilities. I mean, physically, I've had my blood work done. Everything in my blood work seems fine. There are internal problems I do have. They're not life threatening, but they do need to be taken care of. And I have other things I need to go do. But it is very painful stuff. It is very personal stuff, but the cognitive is worrying me the most. It really is. I just want to say at first I just thought, okay, maybe it's just me getting older, but it's not. It is definitely related to something else because it sucks.
I've had a similar sort of an untraceable like acute stage, and then pretty crippling long stage.
So you did catch it too?
It's believed so, but again, there's kind of like
right.
There was never an obvious acute phase, so it's kind of like Well,
Oh, I had 3 days of I've never felt like that in my life. I mean, I was just gone. Ooh, peep peep. Is that your end of mind?
Reminder to flip the things in the oven.
Oh, yeah. We got something in the oven too, but I hope she took it out because I don't want burnt apple pie. But it's done. Okay, it's cooling off. She's force feeding me too, even though I know she knows I went out for my birthday meal, and she's like, "You still get a piece of pie." I'm like, "Okay," but anyways, I do want to talk about some specific stuff because
Sure.
because there's something that happened on Twitter just recently, and I want to get your opinion on it and the audience's opinion. People know that I'm still agnostic. People know that I do lean toward the position that there isn't a type of at least Christian God. And any type of God that does exist is going to be so vastly different from what people think, that all these people have their different opinions and their different views, and clearly not all of them can be right. And when you see people arguing things like Noah's Ark or the earth is young, I automatically discount their deity. Their deity, if their deity is contingent upon a young earth, it doesn't exist. And so, if they tell me that evolution doesn't happen, their God doesn't exist. I'm flat out atheist, 100% to that type of deity. But to an overall concept of some kind of intelligence that could be related to Christianity, I'm still agnostic. But for the most part, I do lean that way. And so, online, the Charlie Kirk. Does he sound familiar?
Yeah, I know about him from Turning Point USA.
Yeah. And so Charlie Kirk, who I don't really follow, I follow, but I don't really pay much attention to. Not somebody that I really care to pay attention to. But whatever. Charlie Kirk was saying something about. There was a video that was like, okay, this person was an ex-prostitute, this person was an ex-drug dealer, this person was an ex-gang member or leader, and so they all turned their life over to Jesus, right? Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, if that works for you, I'm all cool with that, right? If it makes you a better person, I am not against Christianity. I'm not an anti-theist. People know this, but here's my argument, and see what you think about it, Nadia, because you're really good at arguments. If Jesus gets a point for everybody that he brings to them, does he lose a point for everybody that falls away after that point? If they give up their lives, their history, and they give up drugs and they give up alcohol, and they at the bottom of their lives, and they succumb, and they're like, okay, I do want to believe in Jesus. And as low as I've been, I still haven't got to that point because I just don't think it would do anything. I was a theist before; it didn't do me any good. I still have the same problems. It doesn't alleviate them. I know people that are diehard Christians that have issues in their lives. I think it's something we all have to go through as just humanity. It is the human condition. And so would you think that if Jesus gets a point for everybody that comes to him and turns over a new leaf, that he loses a point for everybody that fell away? Because wouldn't he have enough power to keep them believing? So I don't know how that works. What do you think?
I think there are certain respects where kind of the metric you make up is kind of a little bit arbitrary. So, I mean, it does make sense to, kind of make it zero sum and say, well, somebody falls away, it's a minus. But it's kind of an arbitrary decision.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I don't think it's zero sum at all. And I mean, it kind of is. And I mean, if you're just going to be plus and minus, I get that. Yeah, I get that. But it's more plus than minus probably, so it doesn't actually sum to zero. But I see what you're saying. But it blows me away evidentially, right? Because Charlie Kirk was using this evidence, and I've had Christians message me on it, and some have been really, really Jesus freaks. The other people have been really cool and say, look, this is what I believe. I believe this is young. I don't have any evidence for it, scientifically speaking, but I accept it as a condition of my belief in Christ. Okay, you know what? At least you're consistent and honest about that, and I respect that. I really do. I don't agree with it, and I think it's irrational, but they admit that. They're not doing it by any real reason. They're just doing it because of a faith-based commitment based upon their belief in Christianity. But some other ones have been like, oh, well, you just need to believe, or Jesus saves, and they gave me absolutely no reason to ever accept this. And this is what I've been finding the problems with people trying to convince me that Christianity is, it's always argumentum ad baculum or something. It's always believe this or you're going to hell, or don't believe it because you're free will, but suffer the conditions, the hellfire eternal conditions if you don't believe it, which I don't believe for a second. I believe hell doesn't exist like that. It's inconceivable for me for a omnipotent, omnipowerful, omniscient deity to willfully have people suffer for eternity. That is something that is mind-bogglingly inconsistent for me.
I mean, sure. For me, the sort of the things that matter, I think, are like, ultimately the sort of politics, like, when they try to impose a theocracy and then do their anti-abortion, mass murder, mass rape of women, and so on. Where forced birth is a form of rape, of course. That's a huge issue, and of course, you want to mass imprison LGBT people and so on. So that doesn't really help either.
Yeah, and it's funny because I didn't even bring that up, but you were the first person that I ever went to a hangout, and it was an LGBTQ plus hangout. I mean, people know that you were one of the original trans, in the community, and yet, I think you and I hit it off extremely well. We never had a divisive issue with that, and all of a sudden nowadays, I see trans people having very divisive positions, and alienating people that have always supported the LGBTQ, because people know I left the Mormon church because I didn't like their position on gay marriage. I was like, why are you fighting against this? I don't understand this. Why does God care if somebody's gay or if they're trans or if they're who they're having sex with? I don't care. I don't think God cares. And so, it's weird, but I know we're jumping ship to another topic here, but you gotta go take it out of the oven?
Yep, that's right.
All right. You gotta do it?
I take the actual laptop with me, so it's not like I drop off the call or anything.
Okay. But just real quick to touch on it, do you think the trans community has changed at all? It has it used to be 10 years ago? Are you still like got your ears to the ground on it?
As far as I know, there's not really been anything huge happening that way in terms of like there was never really that much of a community to begin with. I mean, it's kind of like a community of like people who have like, some obscure like, glandular dysfunction or something like that. It's like, okay, well, yeah, I mean, people were.
They're not really. They weren't very tight. They weren't very tight knit.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I have to agree with you on that. Because I have a friend that comes on. I don't know if you know her. Her name is Jessica Gill. She was on the Jubilee panel with Blair White, a name I'm sure you remember. And she's just amazing. And her and I really believe in a lot of the same things. And I literally had somebody come to my channel and leave a comment complaining about the word transgenderism, which typically I use as a literature use it, and the person was arguing, well, you're using it as an ideology, and I'm like, no, I'm using it, as it is in the textbook. Although I did realize how they put it. They made a good argument. They're like, well, you're using it here though, it has transgender and gone too far with this ideological, and I made it more as a movement, not so much an ideology as a movement. But they made a good point. But the word wasn't offensive to Jessica or to anybody else that I've seen. It's literally in the academic literature. And so I was like, and at first when I read the statement, I'm like, what, are you offended that I had somebody transgender on? Because if you are, then you ain't welcome to my channel. And yet I still have people go, oh, Steve's a transphobe. Like, are you in your mind? You've known me 10 years. I've never been accused of being a transphobe except when who was that? Oh my goodness. Peter Ethel. Who was that?
I don't remember.
Oh, you do. Naughty, you do. They went by Peter and went by Ethel.
Okay,
and they argued that if you disagree with them on anything, you're just automatically wrong. My audience is going to remember. Again, I don't remember. My mind is not what it used to be.
It doesn't ring a bell. I mean, I think it has more to do with my I guess more tangential involvement than my mind not being.
I'll think of it. Things eventually do come with me. Thank you, Slam RN, and thank you for the people that I'm getting messages from people. So thank you, and I will thank everybody individually. Like I said, my PayPal is in the video description. It's in the top two. Every little bit is helped and appreciated. Like I said, it's not for anything special. It's just for my birthday. Just using it. Just go from there. Okay. But who was it? It was Does nobody in my audience remember? That's how far faded they were. Although I guess they come back around. But this was several years ago when Rationality Rules made their video.
Okay.
S is a thought. Name doesn't ring a bell.
I don't know very much, but yeah, I haven't really followed the issue in particular. Yeah, I guess I will say that it's kind of like, well, it gets sort of like used as a kind of buzzword or term often enough by like the bad people or whatever, the Christian right.
Someone else, $50. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, real quick. No PayPal, no cry. I hope it helps. No, hey, look, Super Chats work as well. Every little bit helps. That was very, very kind of you. I appreciate it. So I will call out Super Chats. PayPal, I'm not going to. I'll do those individually. I just don't want to read them out because I get very personalized messages on PayPal. People send me PayPal knowing that I'm not going to read them sometimes because they're just very, very personalized. But thank you, 7Ellie, very, very, very much. And it does help. Every little bit helps. How do you not pay? I don't use my PayPal that much. PayPal basically was just extra spending money for me, and I've loaned some money out that I haven't gotten back yet, but I will eventually. But I've given people money that needed it, but with the expectation, of course, that they'd return it, and they are, but it just takes time. So, yeah, S is the thought. Yeah. So it's just bizarre. It's just bizarre, Nadia, that because you've known me a very long time, and for people to think that I'm transphobic makes it screws with my head.
Well, I mean, there's kind of a way where it's like, okay, well, somebody brings it out and it's kind of like, all right, maybe you could re-examine whatever you're doing, but and I mean in general, it's kind of like like
you've probably been called transphobic before. I know. Yeah, you've probably been called transphobic before.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, so I guess in general, it's kind of like maybe the concern might be less of whether you're getting tagged with that as opposed to whether you're like causing the harm toward like the people who are
right. No, I think that's really the case.
Yeah.
I think it has to do with harm because I do have my beliefs, and I do believe that adults can do what they want. Consenting adults should have carte blanche as long as it's not hurting anybody else, as long as you're not breaking any laws. Go with God, as they say, right? I don't like when children are involved. That bothers me, But I've always had that position. But for what adults do, it's not anybody else's business. I mean, I just think they should be properly informed. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, there's somebody who said there. I mean, I guess I personally would have benefited greatly if I had been able to get the medical intervention much earlier in life. But
do you think it would have benefited, or do you think it would have made worse?
It would have been a huge benefit. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems hit or miss. Some people may benefit, some people not. But I definitely think that it's each case evaluated case by case. I know your situation, and I definitely think that whatever's best for you was your decision. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, at the time, I guess and the decision was against me. So,
do you think the system's a little bit easier now? Hang on, I get some feedback. Do you think it's better now? Do you think it's easier? And let's talk again for adults. Let's talk about for adults. Do you think it's easier? Do you think that transgender care is more available than it was? Because I know you had some problems getting care early on.
Yeah, depends on the place. For like the liberal places, it's not that bad, but conservative places again. This is in the states. That is conservative places in the states is still near impossible. You basically just have to like relocate out of the conservative places.
I would say more Republican, because there's a difference between Republican and conservative. I do think, but the Republican Party, I don't know what the heck's going on with them. I don't even know what's going on with the Democrat Party. That's why I'm an independent. I just want it all changed. I think Joe Biden is losing his mind. I think he's not competent and he is getting senile. I'm certainly not a Trump fan by any stretch of the imagination. Although people remind me like
massive lying thing is a form of a senility too. It's like the confabulation they call it.
Yeah, confabulation is misremembering things.
Yeah.
He doesn't know Israel from Mexico.
Yeah, so this is a contest between two senile rapists.
I think both of them have done some pretty crappy things, and I don't think either one of them hands are clean, and they're creepy, both of them. And I do think that Trump is far worse. I think he's done more, but Joe Biden has got some skeletons in his closet. No doubt in my mind about it. That dude is weird. But I don't want either one of them. So what about an independent like me? I think both of them are ill-suited for that position. Both of them are, Joe Biden is 81. Trump is what, 78, 77? I don't know. But he's looking at 91 counts of indictment.
Yeah, and I don't think there's real good. I think I would have benefited. I think, whatever the case is, for the objective world or whatever, I would have benefited.
Well, like Slam RN, who's been around a very long time, Slam RN asked, what do you guys feel about puberty blockers for under 18-year-olds? And again, I don't even want to go into the child thing because I think it's really a volatile thing. I am against children in almost all circumstances. I'm not going to say that as an absolutist. I know that there are people that are absolutists, and I just find it difficult to have an absolute position against something unless it's a criminal, right? But you would be okay with puberty blockers under 18, or case by case.
I personally would have benefited in. What that means for the wider world, I have no idea, but still.
And it's said American has a choice between an old man losing his memory and a lying rapist losing his memory. I think they're both. I think that both of them. Trump definitely. Look, it's factual that he has done some pretty bad stuff, and the whole Epstein connection to me is something there. Biden and I'm on record. Look at. This is strictly conspiracy theory. Okay, I'm going to admit this. I have no rational justification for this, but at least I admit when I have no rational justification, because that means you're just speculating, right, Nadia? That's not justified. So I don't think Epstein killed him. I don't think Epstein killed himself. I just don't.
That's not a conspiracy. That's kind of pretty solid.
Yeah. Well, it depends how you ask, right? I think a lot of people have that conspiracy theory. The cameras all of a sudden turn off. The amount of high-power political people that didn't want him to talk. I'm okay with that conspiracy theory. Let me ask the audience. I'm going to do a poll. We're going to have some fun here. Let's do a poll here. How do I do these poll? Poll. Do you know how to spell Epstein? I think it's
Epstein.
Yeah, you're right. Yep, I spell checked. Epstein off himself. Can't say the S word or M word apparently on YouTube any longer. All right, so there you go. There's a poll. Did Epstein off himself? That should be okay. I'm just kind of curious. Oh no, that was instant. No, that was instant. No, yeah. Oh, we got one yes. Did you vote? You did, didn't you? Did you vote? Canogas look like you voted no. Yeah, she voted no. So somebody voted yes. Another person voted yes. Yeah, but anyways, the whole political spectrum. I want them all out. I don't want even the Congress people. They're all nuts. I mean, especially the Republican Party. Oh my goodness, Green and all them. It's just, would it be nice to get a whole fresh crop of new people in? Maybe someone in their mid 30s to 40s would be nice. You know, a little bit of experience, you know, but not to the point where they made politics a career. You know?
Yeah, it's pretty bad as far as, yeah.
So Schill thinks that he did. Oh, by the way, it's just pure opinion. Or I mean, obviously, I think all of it is opinion, but is there a reasoning behind that? I just think it's weird that all the cameras went off at the exact same time. That's a little bit more than coincidence for me, and the fact that so many powerful people had issues with him.
Well, there is a broader literature than just the noise about Epstein reporting, right? There's I guess some of it's called like covert action literature, as far as
I don't read any of that.
I don't spies and stuff.
Yeah, you read some of that stuff where you think there's some inside information there.
Well, what that does is it gives you a sort of broader context of how kind of what's happening, kind of sort of in secret, and the spy games and such that are playing out and whatever. So after you get kind of a good enough idea of how there's those things running, the idea of somebody running a kind of like blackmail ring with child molestation, entrapment, or whatever kind of stuff doesn't actually sound all that far-fetched at all.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. I think that a lot of people in politics have some very sick proclivities. Let's put it that way. If I can word it for YouTube. Slam RN says, I do believe there's a deep state running things, especially now. We know Biden isn't running things. I don't know about deep state, but no way Biden is running things. Just like Trump wasn't running things. He had a whole bunch of people doing stuff for him.
Reagan wasn't either.
Reagan maybe toward the end, because I was a kid. I mean, when Reagan was in office, but come on, Biden doesn't even know where he's at half the time. How can he like be running the country?
Neither did Reagan. Neither did Reagan.
But and maybe, like I said, maybe toward the end. I know people had speculated that he had dementia later on. I recognize that. But this is again, why are we having these older people get in office like that kind of position? Why wouldn't somebody in their late 40s and 50s be having the qualifications, the experience to handle being president? Because you're running a country, and this guy's got like nuclear codes. That's now, can he do much with them? Probably not, but that's scary to me. And as Frida said, I have no idea about Epstein. I would have voted don't know. You think an agnostic is going to have an I don't know on his channel? Come on. I probably should have, but yeah, an agnostic that didn't even have an option, So, anyways, so what do you guys want to talk about? I mean, we're kind of like all over the place, and I get that. That's kind of the fun thing about having a birthday stream. I can talk about whatever I want. And I appreciate the people that have been donating. Like I said, I will get back to all of them, and I will message them.
I can bring something up. All right. You ready for Christo-fascism to take over come 20th of January 2025?
Okay, so what does that entail?
Christo-fascism? First thing I do is like ban abortion nationally and start like arresting women for miscarriages, and
they're already doing that.
And so, they would take it to blue states.
Yeah, but they're already like that one woman. She had a miscarriage or something, and they're charging her with murder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's insane. That's insanity. Look, I've gone on record. I am pro-choice, but I do think it should be limited to the first and second trimester, and we can have that discussion one of these days. But it's again opinion, right? But because I mean, a bunch of cells in a fetus, it's nothing at that point until it has an ability to feel pain. I don't feel like there's a moral obligation to it. When it feels pain, then I feel like we're stewards of moral obligations. But neither here nor there. When a woman has a miscarriage or something like that, and you're charging them with something like that, or if you're telling a doctor that they perform a surgery, they're going to be charged with murder. Are you out of your mind? That makes no sense to me. Women will literally die because of these laws. That's not hyperbole. That is just a fact.
Okay.
Yeah, it's happened before. Do you remember what was it, the woman in Spain? I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. People may remember
Ireland.
that.
Ireland.
Ireland, when she had when the fetus died inside her and she got septic, and they still wouldn't remove it. They had, it has to be what this is. But this is why that type of Christianity I will openly denounce. That type of Christianity that says that a fetus has to be expelled naturally, or they can't terminate the pregnancy even though it's not viable, it's literally deceased. That Christianity is harmful. That I will be an anti-theist too. That's how strongly I feel about that. So people it's so funny because people always tell me my opinion rather than ask me for it. You've had that happen a few times, right, Nadia?
Well, I've generally been so forward with my opinion that I've preempted it most of the time.
Fair point. Yeah, well, so have I. I've kind of been out there too, but I still have people putting words in my mouth and people twisting what I say, and it's like, no, that's not what I said at all. Or what I found out recently, Nadia? This is the new trick that they're doing.
All right.
I've been on YouTube for 10 years now, right? And I will say something that has been years ago, and they'll try to make it sound like something recent.
All right.
Yeah. I saw something like that the other day. I'm like, whoa. So wait, this is like here. This was something long ago relating to something completely different, but now you're trying to take what I said about this something completely different and apply it to a situation that was completely unrelated, far off in the future. That's scummy. That's scummy behavior.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of have not been doing this stuff often enough to, at all, really, since I guess when I got cut off the internet back in 2016, to really pay much attention to it. But
what happened to your channel?
Yeah, my internet connection was through Verizon. Back in 2016, I was basically connecting through my phone and so on. And they had a thing where they were, I guess, capping the data instead of having it truly unlimited. And
wow, that must have been some time ago because everything's unlimited nowadays.
Yeah, it was back in 2016. They were kind of futzing around with it.
3G. I
think it might have been early on the 4G LTE things.
Okay.
Still, when they did that kind of changeover, they just kicked me off the plan altogether and cut off my service.
And you never thought about going back?
No.
Like I said,
somebody like 20. Go ahead.
I just gonna say I do it because I enjoy it still, and it just keeps me connected to people. And the income, a little bit of income I get from it, it helps right now. So I appreciate it. All the people that have been donating to PayPal, I will message them individually. But yeah, it's just. And by the way, even after this is over, you can still PayPal me, or you can leave something like what they call a super comment in the video description, and that stays on the video, so I do appreciate it. But it's I don't ever show my PayPal. This is like the first time I think I've really been out there going, hey, PayPal me, because I know how it looks, but I got to do what I got to do. But like I said, having my daughter talk to me today was just so motivating and so refreshing. Meant a lot to me. Yeah. But anyways, I mean, like I said, you're welcome to come by the Hangouts. I do stuff on my other channel, right? I still do Hangouts. I still do my philosophy stuff. Have you watched any of my philosophy videos? You read by the way, did you ever read my paper?
I did not know about the paper.
Really?
What's
okay, so I wrote a paper and I published it to Academia EDU with the help of Dr. Malik, and he's like, "Look, you can spend a lot of money to have this published in an actual a journal, but why bother? You're not an academic kind of stuff. You're not a scholar. Don't need to. You just want it out there so people can read it and review it on its merit. use Academia EDU, and because that's what he uses and other people use. A lot of people use it. And even though it's not peer reviewed, I still had my paper read by 5 PhDs before Dr. Malik had my paper read by 5 PhDs before I put it out. And then I had multiple other PhDs read it, and there was some minor issues with it. I've corrected, I think, every single one of them. And the last person to find one was Dr. Pritchard, and he interviewed me on my paper, which I'll tell you what it is in a second. And he found a word error. It wasn't a logic error, but a word error. And you know, people always say, well, you can't correct Steve. I'm like, no, I love when I'm corrected on stuff. I want to be able to fix my stuff. And sure stuff, when he noted it to me, I was like, damn it. He's right. And so I fixed it, right? Mm-hmm. But my paper was called How the Presumption of Atheism by the way leads to semantic, how the presumption of atheism by way of semiotic square of opposition leads to semantic collapse. And it was a refutation of Flue's work. Because in 1971, Dr. Flue had wrote a paper called The Presumption of Atheism, if you remember. Mm-hmm. And the paper was basically arguing that people should think of atheism in the negative. And you know, I go way back in that subject, even back to your days. Sure. And you know, how much flack did I get for that? Even though later on people were like, "Oh my God, Steve was right the entire time." And I finally said, "Okay, I'm gonna." People said, "Hey, well, write a paper on it. See what you can do." And so I wrote a paper on it using Boolean logic and propositional logic, using a square of opposition, to show that there's a semantic collapse if you think of atheism in the weak case. And yeah, it kind of took off. It got 3,500 views so far. It's in the top 4% still on the site.
Nice.
Yeah, I know. Like Hogtie Champ read it. He didn't have any issues with it. Ozymandias Ramses II. Does that name sound familiar? Yeah. He liked it. And look, if you get the seal of approval from Ozzy, I mean, that dude is probably one of the smartest people I've met in my life. So I'll send it to you later on Facebook.
Sure.
On it. So I was thrilled with that. It vindicated me, because it was just like all these people were like, "Oh, Steve says atheism is a belief that God does not exist," and yet you had Matt Dillahunty going, "Oh, well, Steve's wrong. Atheism is just lack of belief." Boy, did they have to eat crow, because Matt Dillahunty couldn't refute my paper. Shocker, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Dillahunty has his virtues. I don't know if it's his virtues are, you know, getting very deep into the philosophy.
He's good at rhetoric and he's good at debating. I don't think his philosophy is very good. Do you?
I mean, I don't have a strong opinion, but it's, I guess, as far as I know, he doesn't go very deep into it.
No. Matter of fact, he gave me credit though I don't know if it was directly gave me credit. It was indirect, because he always mentions my name when it comes up, and he always gives the same reasons I give in my arguments. So does that count as giving me credit? But he no longer calls himself an agnostic atheist. Fact. Yeah, he stopped a couple years ago, and he says that agnostic atheism is nonsensical in the weak case, and he's absolutely right. And I show that in one of my arguments, not something that I published, but I have on my blog. And he uses the same exact argumentation I use. And you know, people talk to Matt, similar people that we know, some same people. And so it's kind of odd that he no longer uses that. And then if anybody brings it up, and he'll bring my name up with it, well, he'll say, "Oh, that agnostic, or some agnostic guy, yeah, the agnostics got this right, but in everything else they're wrong." He's talking about me. Because I mean, I've argued that agnostic atheism makes no sense. And it's silly. But man, I miss those days, Nadia. Those were good discussions. I don't know how things got so out of hand in the Great Debate Community days and the Google Plus days. Everything became so personal and hatred. And even though I walked away, I still had people that just wouldn't let go. Ooh, somebody's after you.
Oh yeah, it's mostly it's the fire department going out to get people, rescue people stuck in elevators.
What? That's a thing. That's actually a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of a. I mean, I know it does happen, but I thought it was kind of a.
It's the vast majority of like emergency calls in New York.
Wow. So is that where you're at now?
Yeah, yeah. I'm in New
You're not
York.
up in San Francisco. You're not up in San Francisco area.
No, I got people helped me move to New York while I was still plugged in, and stayed here since.
Well, that's good as long as you're in a good place. New York. Oh man, that's a high cost of living there.
Well,
Um,
yeah,
go
go ahead.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, you want to know the results from the vote so far?
Sure. What was the vote about?
Oh, did Epstein off himself?
Oh, well, do tell.
15 votes. It was just 14. It was 14. It was 50-50, but one more vote more made it no. So it's 47% yes, 53% no. I was surprised it's that divided. I really am. Because to me, like you said, it's probably a given, even though it is, I think it's conspiratorial, but it sure seems like a given to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that it's kind of like a, there's a difference between like genuine sort of like conspiracism, etc., and
Yeah,
acknowledging
this is a reasonable one.
evidence of a crime is kind of like irrelevantly apparent.
Yeah, and Savanel says, like there's no way he and I just, if I'm going to go with a conspiracy theory, that's what I'm going to go with. Because obviously I debunk flat Earth. Or I mean, I'm against flat Earth. I'm not a flat Earth debunker. That'd be more like Reds, obviously. But I definitely am against flat Earth and young Earth creationism and that kind of stuff. Still,
Yeah, I mean, I guess I guess I don't believe in them, but
well, yeah, but it's just
concerned about those than I am about like just kind of anti-LGBT beliefs, etc., and anti-abortionist to it, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, it's like if I think the Earth is flat, what the hell do I care? If they want to like mass imprison all LGBT people, then I'm in trouble. So that's kind of where I'm coming from.
I agree with, and I think your line of reasoning makes perfectly good sense. By the way, it's now 50-50 now. It's now 50-50. I think your reasoning, but do you think when people lack critical thinking skills, where they are going to accept that the Earth is flat, or they're going to accept that Noah's Ark was a real story, contrary to the absolute impossibilities of the physicalities of it? I mean, physically it did not happen, and they're not positing Noah's Ark as a miracle. So they're not saying that's suspending of natural law. They're saying that literally there was an ark with 8 people that took care of thousands of animals for a year, and from all those kind or whatever they want to call it, millions and millions of extant species arose, which is just absolutely impossible. And no young Earth creationist has ever demonstrated that, neither with genetics, proteomics, homologies, morphologies, physics, and of course the heat problem is a thing unto itself that it just makes the flood impossible, and the age of the Earth impossible. But don't you think that if somebody's going to have those propensities where they lack that kind of critical thinking, and no offense to the PhDs that I know are younger creationists, I believe that they're faith-based positions, but still, don't you think that those people are more likely to have the positions that are going to be anti-LGBTQ, and LGBTQ? More likely?
Yeah, it's true. I guess the trick is, you could have like people who, well, you talked about the younger creationism, and they're still anti-LGBT, right? So you got that problem if you don't take the issues with social impacts on directly. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
But I just see a correlation there. Leisure Comics says, for context, where do you two recognize the fetus becoming a child? Well, child actually is a term we usually give to like somebody that's above a toddler, right? You say, but a child or children could be anything, right? But you also say, the mother's carrying with child, the mother's with child. So it's a very ubiquitous term. It can mean anything. It can mean, the first day of conception. It could mean somebody that's 4 or 5 years old. So I don't think there is a line of demarcation of when a fetus becomes a child. I think child is just a word that's used to describe a plethora of different things. Fetus is very specific, though. Fetus is I think what 4 or 5 months, up to 4 or 5 months. You got a blast of whatever it is. You got blastocyst. Then you've got fetus. You got an embryo. You got fetus. Then you have it just whatever the separations they have of the names for gestation. I don't know, but child can be an all-encompassing term. That's how I look at it. What about you?
Until it is physically separated and breathing and sustaining itself independently, I don't think it's a child yet.
Although you do recognize that they say
until then it's a body part. Until then it's a body part of the pregnant person.
But you do recognize they say she's with child.
Sure.
But it's a figure of speech to you.
Sure.
Yeah. And again, I don't think there's any one specific way to look at it. There's no objective fact of the matter. These are just subjective things, But that's a great question, though. And again, I think the abortion topic is probably one of the most difficult topics to have with people because it's such a visceral discussion, and that very few people can have visceral discussions on an intellectual level, or at least in our case, in my case, is an intellectual. It's just not being emotionally embroiled in it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. More physiological sense in a sort of like being able to like grow its own crops or whatever. What?
Yeah, well, I mean, if a child's able to grow its own food, then probably not a child any longer. Legion says sustaining it on its own is years after birth. Yeah, but again, we do say that she's with child as a colloquial expression. So I don't think there's any set thing. I don't hold the position that a child during the third trimester should be aborted. I think that at that point they're a living entity. And so I would say that I'm against things like partial birth abortion. I'm against third trimester unless it's for the life of the mother. But again, that's personal viewpoint. But as far as like first trimester, I couldn't care less. Yeah, it's a clump of cells.
My understanding is like partial birth abortion doesn't actually exist.
It used to. I don't know if they do it any longer. Again, I would have to ask a medical person. And but as far as I know, those are a little bit more limited than they used to be. But again, I have some issues with late term abortion, except in the needs of the health of the mother. But again, it's not a hill I'm going to die on. But I do absolutely think that for first and up to second, until that child has any kind of pain, I don't have a problem with abortion. But don't you think by women generally know by the third trimester if they're going to have an abortion or not? I mean, I don't see a real reason to have an abortion, 8 months later.
It's usually for cases where the fetus is like died and it's not coming out on its own.
Oh yeah, no. Again, in the life, if is it a problem with the birth or the life life with the mother? Absolutely, right. And I'm so glad that even the almost every diehard Christian out there at least makes exceptions for case of rape cases, for incest cases, for medical emergencies. Most of the ones will, but the ones who won't, oh my, those are just that's that. If people want to argue against religion, that I'll stand behind 100%.
Yeah.
Because I think that's just ideology. That's putting ideology in the safety in front of the safety of the person, of a woman.
It's a bit of a trick, though. It's like, how do you cash in on a rape exception? I mean, how does that actually play out for someone who's actually got to make that happen?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, does they have to get the guy convicted of rape before?
Oh,
what?
Oh, that's a good question, right? Because the people have argued that in a consensual experience, the male has some rights, the male has some say in it, or should have some say in it. Other people argue that the male doesn't. But if the situation was reversed, and let's say that the male could get pregnant, wouldn't you want the other person to have some kind of say in it? I mean, was two people that were involved in it. If it was consensual, if it wasn't, how do you prove that, right? And you're right. This is why it's one of the most difficult subjects, because you have to prove that it wasn't in order for you to be able to justify it was not consensual.
Well, even tougher is, how do you prove that in time?
Right. Especially because the band, in 8 months later, 9 months later, they're going to have the child, and at that point, I don't think anybody, is going to argue. Well, there are a few people, weird people, that argue that after they're born, you can still do it, but whatever. Hey, you know what? Up to a year or so, just you can do what you want with it. That makes no sense to me.
4 or 5, 6 months later, it's got to be, into the third trimester, right? So
yeah, or yeah, but like there was this girl the other day that she gave birth, and I guess gave it into her school, or gave it in the hospital bathroom or something like that, and she disposed of it. And that's treated as a homicide. And as Frida says that males could get pregnant, Republicans would not be pro-life. I think you're right. I absolutely agree with that, Anna Frida. I do think that if males experienced what women went through, they would be a little more empathetic. But unfortunately, they can't. Wow, we're into some deep stuff tonight. This is supposed to be a fun hangout when we're talking. Well, this is fun. Legion of Comics says, doesn't a husband have a wife's consent for a vasectomy? I don't see why you would. What about bodily autonomy? I mean, should it be discussed? Sure, but I don't think you would have to have your wife's consent. What is that written at? Yeah.
There's more to it than bodily autonomy. There's also, basically the ability of women to, have educations and careers and so on, because the pregnancy will disrupt it.
The pregnancy will disrupt one. Sorry,
educations and careers.
Oh yeah, no, okay. That's a fair point. A lot of women want a career. They don't want a child early on, and I think that's perfectly fine. Like I said, if it's done immediately after finding out, within the first trimester, whatever, it's a clump of cells of that. This is where the religiosity comes with people saying, no, it's a human. No, I don't think it's a human. No, I had a debate, not debate, but I had a discussion that long ago, debating whether it was a human and people tore me up on the great debate community, but I stood my ground. I'm like, no, it's a bunch of cells. That's not human. They're human cells, but I don't consider a clump of cells a human. I think a human is more morphologically formed. And that's just, again, my opinion. I've had some biologists agree, some biologists disagree, whatever. But again, my opinion.
Well, in the words of I guess there's Nick Fuentes and Michael Knowles. I guess Fuentes said, I don't want to turn the clock back to 1990. I want to turn the clock back to 1190. And Michael Knowles was, I don't want to turn the clock back to 1950. I want to turn the clock back to 1250.
Yeah, that guy,
there's two of them.
Michael Knowles? The political guy.
Yeah, the other one was Nick Fuentes. And then there's...
Oh, God. Yeah.
Yeah, there's also Vincent James. Yeah, that I don't know if I can post like I guess YouTube links in the chat, whatever, but you can pass along.
I can give you a mod. I can give you a temporary mod.
Okay.
I trust you explicitly. You're like literally probably one of the oldest people I've known on YouTube.
Yeah. So, well, let me get you.
But yeah. Michael Knowles is, again, occasionally he'll say something okay, but he's done it for the wrong reason. He's coming from a very strong religiosity, very strong Christian base that I don't agree with. And then that other guy, Fuentes, oh my God, that guy's a racist piece of crap.
Let me put it in the private chat to see if you can play it then.
All right.
So Yeah, this is Vincent James, I believe.
Yeah, I don't want to play any links, but I'll look at it later.
Well,
I don't. Yeah, I get.
It's Right Wing Watch, so it's a very short clip. I think it's
Yeah.
it's
I'll watch it after the stream. I don't want to play any YouTube, any stream. I never play any video clips on this channel because copyright.
Yes, well, okay, I could
Yeah.
quote unquote guarantee you, but
No, I try to trust you, but it's just every
Okay.
single time I've been burned on that. So I don't even want to bother. But I do trust you. But what's it about?
I think let me get the literal quotes here. I'll read the transcript. So he says, okay, it's not a full transcript, but it says, "We are the Christian Taliban, and we will not stop until The Handmaid's Tale is a reality, and even worse than that."
Is that Fuentes?
That is Vincent James,
Who the hell's that?
a different random right-wing influencer.
No. Yeah, that's
So,
brilliant. Well, this is what I'm saying. I was anybody thinks I'm not even right wing, and somebody had called me far right because I do follow various people, and that's not because I support certain people. I follow a lot of people on Twitter, left, right, even some extreme people, only because I want to see what they're putting out. Doesn't mean that I agree with it. I don't know how that they don't get that a lot of people follow people that you may not agree with, because they just put out some crap. So there are some, like Ben Shapiro. Sometimes he said things that are funny. Sometimes he says things I agree with. Most of the time he's a little out to lunch, but he's very well spoken. And if you don't know the other side, how are you going to argue against it? You don't know what the far right's doing. How are you going to argue against it? But the fact that I happen to follow somebody, or hey, Ben made a good point.
I follow him too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I follow G-Man and all the rest of them. Yeah.
Yeah. When's the last time G-Man made a good point?
I don't think he ever has, but anyway.
2011. But it's weird how that guilt by association, especially on social media, where people follow all kinds of people. I just don't get that. I watched Alex O'Connor debate Ben Shapiro, and I didn't watch all of it yet. I still need to finish it, but there's some clips that I really, really liked, and I had reached out to Alex again, and I told him I might want to review, and he's like, "Yeah, go for it." But Ben made some good points to Alex, I thought. So you can't just shut somebody down because they have a different ideological belief.
Cosmic skeptic. Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he's smart. Oh, he really got. I mean, he's doing amazing. He went to Oxford. He is doing podcasts. He's hanging out with likes of like Jordan Peterson and Peter Hitchens. Although Peter Hitchens hates him for some reason.
Yeah, Peter
What's
Hitchens
that?
too.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not a fan of Peter Hitchens. How is he so
Jordan
different than
Peterson's terrible too. Yeah.
What's that?
Jordan Peterson's terrible too.
Jordan Peterson?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not a fan of Jordan Peterson either. I just like I said, some things they say that I happen to like. Other things is like, what is he talking about? But Peter Hitchens does not like Cosmic Skeptic. I mean, just treated him so poorly, and he just seems so antithetical to Christopher Hitchens, who was a great rhetorician, great at rhetoric. Dr. Dreidel. Yeah, did you see that? Dr. Dreidel. Did you watch Ben Shapiro? You may not know this, but Ben Shapiro was #1 on the charts for hip hop in the last couple weeks. He got dethroned, but he was the #1 on hip hop chart.
I would be surprised, but okay.
Yeah, he was rapping with a guy named Tom. What is it?
I'm more a fan of Lil Nas X. Yeah.
No way, really?
Well, I mean,
he's a Satan. He is a Satanist.
The whole genre. The whole genre is not really my thing, but Lil Nas X, as far as that goes, yeah.
Because he's a Satanist, or because of the music?
I don't think he's really a Satanist. I think he just uses the imagery or whatever.
Yeah, I think you're right. But Tom McDonald. So Tom McDonald and Ben Shapiro made a rap song called Facts. And it skyrocketed. And it's a good song. Jordan Peterson did a breakdown of it. I got halfway through it and I was done. I couldn't listen to Jordan for very much longer. But I got to admit, he made some good points initially. He gave some good pointers to Ben. And Tom McDonald, I am a fan of. his song Race War is amazing, absolutely amazing. I think he really just understands it. I think he bridges the gaps between people of very dissimilar ideologies and puts it to music in a very, very constructive, very, very entertaining way. Have you've never listened to him? No? Listen to Tom McDonald.
I've never heard of him.
He's the number one independent artist in the planet.
It's not my genre in general, so
you don't know. You haven't listened to it. Go listen to Race War. Yeah, I mean, he drops that hook, and he's got some great lyrics, good voice, great presence, and like I said, I think he really does try to bridge the gap between people with very, very different ideologies, and the people that get his music get it. The ones that don't. You know, do you guys like Tom McDonald out there? But yeah, Dr. Dreidel. Yeah. Do you remember the Dreidel song? Dreidel, 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 I made you out of clay. Dreidel, 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 with Dreidel I will play.
Only secondhand, but yeah.
Well, my mom used to light the menorah, and my neighbors were Jewish, and they would have the little thing on their door. I forget what it's called, but it was a scroll that was in there, a blessing scroll. What's it called? Somebody will know in my audience. But yeah, I remember that a little thing. But my mom would light the menorah. It represents the days that the oil had burned for the Jews. So my mom was more of a cultural Jew. She just liked the traditions, and I really respect that. I really respect Jewish traditions. The Sabbat, the feasting, the culture, all for that. Because that's not really about religion so much as it is just plain respect. And any culture things that respects people, like Buddhism, Taoism, just the general belief that there's some kind of things with nature, or I'm cool with all that stuff.
I think that was when Antiochus IV Epiphanes put the statue of Zeus in the Jewish temple. Was that right?
Who was that? Thank you, Ian. Ian has to go, but love your work. Thank you, Ian. Who put the Zeus in the Jewish?
Sorry,
who put the Zeus? Who put the Zeus in the Jewish temple?
Antiochus IV Epiphanes.
Oh, how'd that go over?
It provoked a rebellion, if I remember right. Yeah.
See, my history is bad. If I need history stuff, man, I just go to Tim O'Neill. Yeah, no, it's totally rooted in religion. No, I agree with that. But I mean, it's not like promoting religious ideology. It's not like promoting, the existence of God so much as it just the cultural aspect. Because Judaism is steep in culture. There's the religious aspect and there's the cultural aspect. I'm culturally Jewish, at least as far as my heritage. My mom is Jewish in the eyes of the temple. The children are Jewish, and I've always respected that part of my heritage. But I'm not against any religion except for people that are promoting harmful religions, and anybody who promotes harmful religions. I mean that people are against gay marriage, people that are promoting bigotry, people that are promoting homophobia or transphobia, people that are promoting, arguments that if you don't believe like them, you're going to go to hell. If you don't believe in young creations, you're going to go to hell. Anything like that, yeah, you can shove it. I'm so antithetical to that.
Well, you understand that, the theocracy is kind of in progress. Like you're seeing the state level anti-abortion stuff, and it's probably what you heard most about. This state level anti-LGBT stuff too. Mm-hmm. Especially anti-trans. State of West Virginia declared the appearance of trans people's bodies to be obscene, inherently obscene. So,
what does that even mean? What do they even mean by that?
Whatever it means, they say that it requires trans people to remain 2.5 times further away from schools and other "quote unquote" sensitive sites.
That seems unconstitutional.
Registered sex offenders.
How is that not unconstitutional?
Because there are 5 black-robed Opus Dei Klansman and a literal handmaid from one of the cults that inspired The Handmaid's Tale.
What state was this? What state was this?
West Virginia.
West Virginia. I have to look into that because I mean, I live in California, and we're one of the most liberal states there is. Would you agree that California is more liberal than West Virginia? Yeah, by far. Especially up north in the San Francisco area, people can walk around fully unclothed and nobody cares. In fact, it's perfectly legal. There's no morality laws up there. They call them. Yeah. Did you know that you could literally walk around naked in areas of Seattle, San Jose area, Sacramento?
I had no idea, but yeah.
Yeah. So Northern California, Washington, and Oregon have areas where nobody seems to care. And I know I lived outside Seattle and in Washington, in Bremerton, and I never saw it. I'd be probably tripping out, but I guess it's all the time, and especially in Sacramento, they're whatever. No, we're not moving to Sacramento, Kano.
I was supposed to but yeah.
She's such an exhibitionist too. She's like, I got it, I'll flaunt it. You really would? It's art. Wait, so your body's art now. You're the Black Mona Lisa.
Here we go.
I swear to God, she says the funniest fucking things. I swear to God, you really would. I believe you. You really would. When's the last time you've been to a new? Okay, this went south really fast. When's the last time? Okay, but you've been to a new. I've never been to a new beach. Well, I think maybe once, but I wasn't new. But I only because it was like where we were at in the Navy or something like that. But yeah, I never actually went to a new beach. So you would be like, if you could, you'd just be hanging outside tanning or something. With all the kids, yeah. Assuming there's no children around, that's a given. Really? Damn. Okay. Well, yeah. It's not my. It's not. You know what's so funny? I shouldn't. I'm not trying to condemn that at all. I was much more freer in my youth when I was much different looking and much better shape. And yeah, I have very little inhibitions.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get my weight under control again.
Yeah, my weight's been up and down. It's.
You saw that I got it down at 20. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Can you guys hear her out there? Nadia, can you hear her?
I hear a little bit, and then I just kind of was stopping, so you could have your.
All right, I'll try to translate. What? Just be a little louder.
I said people should not be self-conscious about their body. Show it off.
I mean, sure. Yeah.
How old you are.
I don't want to see Matt Dillahunty naked. Come on, we all agree upon this, right?
Yeah, slimmed down a bit, but maybe he's not quite there yet.
Nobody wants to see that. Yeah, she's over there doing her own thing. Like I said, we're just roommate day for my birthday. Is the pie cool yet?
It should be.
Yeah, I'm going to end this in a few minutes. I want to thank the people that donated, and so I have to send messages to people. And this Savali who gave me a super chat. I appreciate it. But yeah, I'm going to go have my birthday apple pie, and I got clothes to wash and stuff to do. So housekeeping too. So Nadia, I want to thank you for joining. It's always a pleasure. Keep in touch with me. I like to hear from you every so often, and I wish nothing but the best for you. I always have the utmost respect for you. You know that your intelligence, your demeanor, your ability to have conversations, very, very much. And if it was a few, I wouldn't even probably have a YouTube channel, believe it or not. So, or at least not of any consequence. So. All right, thanks, Nadia. I appreciate it. Oh, hang on before I go. Look at this. Look at that beautiful piece of apple pie.
Yeah, I was going to guess tiramisu, but apple pie is good too.
What'd you say? Tiramisu?
Yeah.
Oh, I would. Oh yeah. We like our tiramisu with little finger sticks, and yeah, tiramisu is good. I probably should have got some ice cream, but I keep kidding people. People, I don't know if you know, Nadia, but people think that I have some empowerment to like get people to do whatever, like some kind of running a massive cult or something. And I'm like, I can't even get my roommate to get me ice cream. I'm like, this is the best I can get. I'm not complaining. I'm really not. But this is literally the extent of my power of my cult is that I get a piece of apple pie on my birthday. Am I kidding? That's it. Well, people think that I have this weird ability to like manipulate people or something. No, I don't. And I'm like, and but I always said I can't even get you to get me ice cream. So this is like the best I'm gonna get. Apple pie with no a la mode. That's how much I'm loved here. So, anyways, guys, thanks for watching this. I am going to end this and end the stream and end the hangout. Thank you guys. Say what?
Watch out for Project 2025. They're planning on installing Theocracy. All right.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Bye, Nadia. Epstein off himself, 50-50 poll, 20 votes. Wow, that's not what I expected. I'm going to take us out and go from there. Peace.
Cheers.